Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs Podcast, PCA gets an extension. It's full steam ahead. The big blue train coming down the tracks. We got the conductor, Dan Plesac from MLB Network. Next. CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the Bet365 app and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Here we go. Opening day is almost here. Joey Christopoulos and Luke Stuckmeyer. The chat is already running. Look at Shane Newbanks getting ready for the game. I heard he's going to be at opening day at Wrigley Field. Our guy Gary's here. Corey Seacrest in the chat. Craig Brindle says now extend Nico. That's right. PCA extended. That was the big story. If you haven't seen the breaking news podcast that we did last night, you can check that out as well. We still don't exactly have official word of the way this whole thing is going to be structured. The bottom line is this. The Cubs are getting a deal. The Cubs are getting PCA extended through multiple years. They're buying out all that arbitration stuff, and we're going to have PCA roaming center field for a good long period of time. You don't have to worry about him becoming a $400 million player right now.
Even though he probably will be worth perhaps the $400 million.
Yes, he still may get that number, but not right now.
Yeah, it's a great deal for everyone, and especially for Cubs fans. Thank you so much for joining us. If you did last night with our emergency pod up until about midnight last night talking about it, and just to reiterate some of the things that we hit on last night, you just mentioned, the most important part about this is, one, you want to reward a player that means a lot to this organization right now that you think is on the edge or the precipice of having a huge season. The other part about it, too, is, as you mentioned, that those 27, 28, 29-year deals, those last 3 years, and we don't know what the annual AAV is going to be for those deals. I think that's what's really important about this contract, whether it is going to be 6, 7, maybe it'll be 8 years. We'll see what happens with the options. What's the matter with you?
I'm
can't do the 6, 7 thing.
6, 7. I heard it. I laughed at it, and then I random thunk said I fell asleep listening to your breaking news podcast.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully we're just as good as the ocean waves at night.
That's what we do.
Bringing you into a nice little slumber, dreaming of Luke. But no, look, the problem, or maybe the thing that everyone was worried about as a Cubs fan, was, are we going to have to go through this again, where we have an incredibly young, popular player in our uniform, a la a Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, a Javi Baez, whatever it is, go down the list of the Cubby core, and are we going to have to do the extension talks, or is he going to walk during free agency? Should they trade him? Where does everyone stand on this? The Cubs being proactive about this and locking PCA up now, it's just a huge step, not just for this season, but obviously for the rest of the decade and for years to come.
I think it shows that a borderline emerging superstar player wants to be here.
Yes.
That's something that the Cubs need to prove again, right? Like, a Wrigley Field does sell itself. I get that. But the Cubs needed to sort of show this offseason to the rest of the league and the future free agents and all of that stuff. You know what? This is the place to be. Yeah, the 108 thing is over, but this is still, if you want to party all summer long and have a chance to win a championship and be treated like a king, this is where you want to be. That's their slogan. This is where you want to be. And PCA has done that now. He said to him, listen, I'm young. I know I got a big payday coming down the road, but right now, this is what I want. I want to be a part of this Cubs team, the next great Cubs team, and I want to be in center field for a long time at Wrigley Field. And so that's a message that will continue on, because there were other players around the league that certainly saw Chris Bryant leave, Anthony Rizzo get traded, like both guys get traded, Javi get traded, and ultimately those proved to be the right move. So I'm not complaining about that. But when it was first happening, the image was more like, how could they let this championship team not develop anymore and just fall apart? What are they doing wrong? Was that a one-time thing? And now you have a young star player, emerging superstar saying, no, we got it right. We have the right manager. We have the right front office. We have the right fans. We have the right ballpark. And now we have the right players. And this is where I want to be. I think it's a big message long term.
Absolutely. When you talk about building blocks, now he's not just a building block. He is the foundation. He's a foundation piece of what you're trying to build with the core moving forward that obviously is going to involve Alex Bregman and at least Dansby Swanson, right, for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
To further the point that you're making, which I love a whole lot because I think it's important for Cubs fans to also understand that this gets baked into the pie a lot. So before we know what the numbers are and before we have baseball being played on Thursday, that messaging that you're talking about, I think it goes a long way. And what better to deliver that message than Pete Crow-Armstrong? Just the way that he's talked about being a Cub, the way that he's talked about what Wrigley Field feels like in October, the way that the messaging is going on right now with Pete Crow-Armstrong, what a better person to lead that narrative and that messaging for years to come. I think Alex Bregman also will do a great job of that. I think Nico Horner has done a great job of that. The guy that played last year in right field, that's the thing, is that great baseball player, right? But when you invest hundreds of millions of dollars in these guys, this is just the reality because it's an entertainment business. You want more from them sometimes. And Kyle Tucker never once just said, man, I love the Ivy, or I love the seventh inning stretch, or I love playing in Wrigley. Because you're right, man. At the end of the day, when it's a dollar amount and it's geography and where am I going to raise my kids and is my wife going to be happy in this town or whatever the situation is, playing at Wrigley can be that added component in the pros and cons list of free agents making their decisions. I don't think Kyle Tucker went overboard singing the praises of the Wrigley experience. Pete Crow-Armstrong will do that for years to come. We will love him in turn. And I do think in a subconscious way that can help in the future.
If you're looking for a face of the franchise, you're looking straight at Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Yeah, blue hair and all.
You're hoping that develops and that this was money well spent and you're not worried about the makeup of the player. Now it's just, will he take that next step from star player, all-star, to superstar? Can he be one of the 5 best players? And it's not that the Cubs haven't done that. I mentioned that, you're trying to show that this can be an organization. But when you lose to the Brewers multiple years in a row, people are wondering why. The theme going into this offseason, why aren't the Cubs spending? So the Bregman move was another step in that direction. I know Dansby was, but that's starting to look further and further in the past. Bregman over Tucker, and now PCA and some of the trade moves. The Cubs are showing it, like they have FL 100 Bears, by the way, in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs channel says, Joey nailing it. Like always.
Appreciate the comment.
We're going to be nailing it all season, by the way, because we will have a live watch along for the first game. We will be here watching the game with you, just like we're picking up where we left off in the postseason.
That's right.
We're going to have hot dogs. We're going to have food. We're going to be grilling here. Maybe a rally cake. I don't know, but we're going to have stuff. And we're going to be here watching the game with you. We're going to do a show on Saturday as well. Hopefully there's no rain on Thursday. Please, no rain. The Friday 120 Club will be back again this year.
Yes.
Okay. We know the first one is the 10th.
April 10th versus the Pirates is confirmed. Mm-hmm. Other events and other fun CHGO stuff, TBD, that we can't wait to announce very soon, but we will announce it soon.
I just want to say this. I'm not going to give it all away, but I'm going to say this. Cubs and Wagyu.
Yeah.
That's the rumor I'm hearing. I don't know what that means. That's just what I've heard. Wagyu
you take
and
that
Cubs.
Word association the
what
way
we've
that
been
you
doing.
Want to.
No, Stucky is not taking the 999 challenge on Thursday. That is not, unless that's 9 cupcakes.
Yeah. Shane was also in the Bulls chat last night too, as well, asking me to get him unbanned from the Discord. I did tell him and promised him I can tell him verbally I will do everything I can. We set some parameters of what's not going to get him rebanned, but we can work on getting him unbanned. Yeah.
He's never been banned from this Discord.
Not to my knowledge.
No.
I don't know. I'm newer to the Discord. We just did a fantasy draft too as well in the Discord too as well. So I'm going to shout out a bunch of those guys this week as well. Little 8-team fantasy league with Corey Seacrest set it up. Corey in the chat as well. The commish. Hello, commish of our fantasy league. Appreciate you.
Gary wants an event in the burbs like 2 years ago, like Schaumburg. From your mouth to God's ears, Gary. That's all I will say about that. That's right.
I'll drive
That's
out
right.
there. I'll drive out there. It's fine. And then the other one, too, as well, a little bit different what we're going to be doing this season. Starting every Wednesday when the Cubs have a game on a Wednesday. Yes, of course, we will always do our post game right after the show. But we're going to do something a little different. Typically, we'll do a watch along from the first inning to the ninth inning. We want to try on Wednesdays. We're going to go live starting the seventh inning, eighth inning, ninth inning. So hopefully the most important, dramatic, entertaining, chaotic parts of the game. You can come hang out with us, watch the game live, and then slide right into our post game and watch CHGO Cubs post game.
I believe our guest is getting ready. He said he's ready. He said he's getting close.
Shiny shoes.
Sometimes when a superstar tries to use the internet and it goes online, it takes a little bit longer because you can't squeeze it all into the cables. You can't get everything into it and then up to the satellite and back. It takes a little extra time to get that type of stuff going.
A couple extra logs and
that's right.
In the fire for the big blue train.
Yeah, you got to have a little extra coal put in that train. Sarah, how's it going over there? We see him? Do you see him? Don't see him. All right, hold on.
We're getting there.
Anyways, we are excited about the Cubs made roster moves before the game again today, so they're trimming it down again. Assad to Iowa.
Yes.
And we'll see how it all unfolds. I mean, you're going to see Javier Assad in the major leagues this year.
He's going to play a role on this team. I mean, this isn't like Dancing with the Stars where they're out and they never come back. Like, this is why this team was built this way. That, yes, like, I know there's some fans, Gary in the chat, likes Colin Snyder, likes Corbin Martin. There's Javier Assad fans out there. I promise you, I think all these guys are going to have to play a role, and when their number is called, they're going to have to come up and perform. So I love the fact that this spring training, fans are actually upset about who's getting sent down and who's making the team, right? Because that means that there was a competition at play. Nothing was handed to you. On the other side of it, on the offensive side, I love the fact that Dylan Carlson, congratulations, you had yourself a great spring.
Yes.
You're going to travel with the team for opening day.
Still could be on my fantasy team.
Still possibly auditioning as we speak. And then, of course, the other one is when we talk about a guy that was one of the early signings that garnered an eye roll early on when the free agency started. Scott Kingery had a good spring, will travel with the team. According to Craig Counsell, he will be on the plane. I think that's also alluding to they haven't made a decision on Seiya Suzuki, but it looks like he'll start the season on the IL, and Scott Kingery will be on the opening day. So congratulations to both those players who've been major league players before and have figured out a way to get themselves back into the show. It's great to see.
And why would you rush Seiya right now? If this is about 3 or 4 games, like what are we?
It's pointless.
Totally pointless.
He's wearing a brace while he's playing catch.
It's going to be raining, then it's going to be freezing cold, then it's going to be raining, then it's going to be freezing cold. I'm in no rush to have him running around there.
The same way that you would think about it with Justin Steele, and I hate to pair it to it the way that I'm going to right now, is that if the weather is crappy in early May, I don't want Justin Steele out there throwing the baseball. You know what I mean? Like let's wait till the weather clears up a little bit and then give these guys a real run. So,
all right, here we're gonna try this. Oh, this is my sound effect machine. Can you hear him? We need to go break.
Yeah. But there's a train coming down the tracks. Who could it be on the other side of the break?
You see what's coming?
Let's find out.
This is what's coming.
After we hear from some of our wonderful partners here at CHGO Cubs. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. A crazy selection of over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for guidance from their expert staff. Head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO. Did you hear me? HICHGO. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. How are you going to get through the stress of a baseball season? Go right by Wrigley Field. Calm down. Get yourself over to Sunnyside. The experts are going to hook you up and help you out. Sunnyside, HICHGO.
Luke, I got 3 words for you, and it ain't wow, so good looking. No, it's good better, best. Chicago's home to the most iconic three-word slogan in American sports, and that Bet365. Right now, they are honoring that shirtless rallying cry with a three-word motto of their own, and it's early payout offer. Here's how it works. Right now, if you pick a team and that team goes up by 10 points at any point in the game, they will pay you out right there on the spot. Seriously, that way you can go and get back to going talk about what really matters, that PCA extension. It is the Bet365 where winning is everything. Right now, they got one of the best deals in the biz. They got a $150 promo at Bet365's user $150 in bonus bets. So what you do is you deposit 10, place a bet for 5. You get up to $150 in bonus bets right after that. It's Bet365 where winning is everything. Download the app today. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly, and you must be present in Illinois. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus bet wager excluded from returns. New customers only. 21 plus only. Time limits, minimum odds, and TNCs apply. In-app only. Void where prohibited. Bet365.
And we are back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. Hold on, sound effects. There he is, the original conductor of the Big Blue Train. Dan Plesac joins us from his beautiful home on the East Coast. Dan, how you doing, bud?
Good, Luke. I can't believe the season is starting already. I got a little bit of a preseason taste. I was in Houston for the WBC, called that round, and then I was at the final 3 days in Miami. That WBC, Luke, I'm telling you, I didn't really buy into this. Maybe the last couple I started to itch my way into liking the WBC. But Luke, let me tell you something. That thing was on. That was as close to October baseball as you could get. I could not believe it's the first time I had been there in person covering. I had always been in the studio, and I'm telling you, Luke, that intensity was off the charts.
Joey and I were saying that it was, I don't know if it's a perfect plan because it's before the season, but my suggestion was, could you play the first couple rounds in spring training and then have the finalists or the final 4 teams wait till the All-Star weekend and they just don't take part in All-Star weekend, or they play the last 2 days after that. I don't know what it is, but the end result was great. Now, would I have liked Skubal pitching on the last day? Yes, but that's not the reason they didn't win, right? Pitching wasn't the problem.
Listen, I was at the Houston pool, and I was the analyst. So I did 12 games in 8 days. There was a noon game and a 7 o'clock game. And even when the U.S. played Great Britain, that was a lot closer than I expected. The Mexico game was a good game. And even the game against Canada was a really good game that really Canada could have won. It was mystifying because when you looked at that lineup, and you thought, man, like this lineup, the way they put that team together, like they were going to score runs. They just didn't the whole time, Luke. And it caught me by surprise because when they had played a couple of exhibition games in Arizona, they were firing. And I thought, man, they're going to run the table. And I really thought, like, Mexico worried me. They were really into that thing. And then also Venezuela, Dominican Republic, and Japan. Those 4 teams to me stood out, but the U.S. team, they just never hit like we thought they were going to hit.
I guess it comes down to makeup, although anything can happen to any lineup in that short a period of time. I think of the 2008 Cubs. They couldn't hit in the playoffs. They hit all year, then they couldn't hit in the playoffs. 2 years in a row, they get swept. They couldn't hit. And you're looking at it saying, well, what was that? Do you think it's roster construction? Like, would one less home run hitter been or a different player? I wish Nico Horner was on the team, by the way. Not that Turang's not great.
I'll tell you what struck me is particularly the Dominican Republic team, the Venezuela team, and Mexico. I mean, they played this thing, Luke, like this was their World Series. We had Danny Palencia on the championship game. We had him on before the game and said, hey, he had pitched the day before against Japan. And, we kind of asked him, hey, are you available tonight? He goes, available tonight? If there were 7 games, I would be available for 7 days. And listen, and it wasn't just the U.S. team because talking to the Venezuelan manager before, they were under a lot of restrictions, too, from the parent clubs. Like, they didn't want their relievers throwing 2 days in a row if they could avoid it. They didn't want the starters, even though it was up to 90 or 95 pitches into the final phase of that WBC. All the parent teams were like, we don't want our guys going 90 to 95 pitches. So it turned into a bullpen game. And I'll tell you what, I came out of this, and this is probably the right show to be doing. I knew Danny Palencia was a good reliever. I watched him a lot last year. I admired the fact that he was pitching the eighth and ninth inning, and then towards the end of the season, he had that little setback. They were using him in the sixth and the seventh when the big part of the lineup came out. Luke, this guy's got it, man. I mean, he's got big stones, as guys would say. He throws hard, has a good breaking ball, and this guy is not scared. I mean, he took the mound in the ninth inning, and after the U.S. tied it and Venezuela took the lead on the walk and the double and the gap, um, I thought, okay, the right part of the lineup was coming up for the USA, and I'm telling you, I was standing behind home plate, and there was no BS from Danny Palencia. He took his 8 warm-ups, and when that first hitter walked in, Luke, he looked a la Lee Smith, Randy Myers, every great Rick Aguilera, every great Cub reliever you've ever seen. His stock, in my opinion, went way up. This guy, I'm telling you, I don't know what kind of year he's going to have, but I will guarantee you this. He is not scared, and this guy gets after it. I was really impressed by him.
Yeah, Dan. Well, first of all, man, you're one of my favorite MLB analysts ever. So it's a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining CHGO Cubs. When we talk about Danny Palencia, and I know we're gonna start to walk into the PCA extension talks, but let's maybe start at step one with this WBC experience for PCA, for players like Danny Palencia. A lot of people say, yeah, exhibition, nothing counts, but as a former player, that confidence, what do you think these guys, these young players specifically, are taking out of this experience, playing with the type of competition, playing for their country, and how can that lead into a successful major league season this year?
I will say this. I think it's going to jumpstart a lot of the young players to get off to a good start. I covered all the games in Houston, and Mark DeRosa was in a tough spot. He was trying to get guys at bats, and it looked like PCA. It was PCA going to play center field, and then it was Byron Buxton, and they were trying to get the matchup to get these guys both playing time. Pete Crow-Armstrong played himself into the rotation the final 2 games. He really did. And the thing that struck me is I was at all the games at Houston. The one thing that he has to work on, he gets up there and he is swinging at the first. He's up there the first 2 pitches. He's not up there to walk. And I thought the first few at bats from PCA, 1 or 2 pitches in, ground ball to the right side, first base, second base. And the more at bats he got, the more patient he got. And I'm going to tell you something. He's an exciting player. And defensively, I don't know if there's a better defensive player in either league. And Byron Buxton is a terrific defender. But Pete Crow-Armstrong is every bit the defender that Byron Buxton is. He can go back on the ball. He covers both the left and right center field gap. He has an accurate and strong enough throwing arm in center field. And this dude, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He comes to play every day. And if there was one guy that would wanted to play every game, every inning of the WBC, it was PCA. And I think the sky's the limit. I know you break down last year, really good first 2.5 months. Towards the end of the year, the last 6 to 8 weeks, he was very maybe over aggressive swinging. And that comes with the young player, right? You see that batting average at like 280. You see the home runs go up, and all of a sudden, you're trying to be all right. I gotta find that form back. And sometimes you struggle with being patient and being aggressive. And sometimes I think being over aggressive hurts him a little bit. But I will say this: as that WBC went on, the more at bats he got, the better he was. His pitch selection, and it's all about swinging at strikes for PCA. If he controls the strike zone a little bit more, he's going to run into 20 to 25 home runs just because he has that kind of pop. But man, he can steal bases. He plays great defense. What I like the most about him, he plays with a lot of energy, and you need guys like that. I mean, it's hard to do it for 162, but when this guy plays, he's all in, And his stock, in my opinion, Daniel Palencia and PCA, as far as the younger guys that I saw talking about Cub guys, I thought the more the WBC went on, the better they got. And I think it's going to bode well. Both are going to get off to good starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Cubs fans are hoping for, right? They've been waiting for a closer for a long time. They've been waiting for the next superstar player to come along. They thought maybe it was going to be Kyle Tucker. But then we had this first half last year from PCA, and you were like, well, wait a minute. We might have our own guy right here. And he's kind of shown that if you were pitching against him, if you were in you're 18 years in the big leagues, you're looking at it, you're going, you know what, I'm going up against PCA. What are you throwing at him? And what are you afraid of most that he would learn?
Okay, I want to slow him down, right? Guys that are fast twitch like PCA, they want to create action fast. So being a left-handed pitcher, I would say like, okay, I want to throw him a first pitch breaking ball and see how he reacts to it. Does he lean forward? Is it a bad breaking ball? Is he lunging? Is he being overly aggressive? And if that's the case, I'm going to continue to stay soft. But if you throw a first pitch curveball left on left or slider to PCA and he just stands there and he tracks it, it's ball one, as a pitcher, like, wait a minute, you're supposed to swing at that. The MO on you is you take that donut off the bat and you're ready to start swinging. I think the more he controls the strike zone and the less aggressive he is early in the count. Now, I get it. There's so much velocity in the game today that sometimes the best pitch or pitches you're going to see are early. But I think once he gets a better recognition of the strike zone and not afraid to hit with two strikes and put the ball in play, it's kind of like a Cody Bellinger. There was a while there with Cody Bellinger where, man, he was as good a two-strike hitter as there was in baseball. And then all of a sudden he turned into a guy that was like, man, I'm swinging as soon as I get up there. And then with two strikes, he would get himself out. And if PCA could limit the at-bats where he gets himself out, where he wild swings, and he just shows some patience, it makes him so much more difficult to attack, because the thing you don't want to do with him, this guy can get to a fastball. I'm telling you, Luke, PCA, he can dial that thing up there. You can't throw it too hard that he doesn't like it. But I think when you start seeing a scouting report and a team that can maneuver the ball, change speeds a little bit, he becomes a little bit over anxious. If he can condense that just a little bit and not be afraid to hit with strike one, he's going to be awfully dangerous.
If we could put you in PCA's shoes and promise you'll enjoy this. If you could imagine signing a $100 million plus deal with the team that obviously you didn't get drafted by them, but they traded for you in the minors when you were injured. You came up through the system. You made it to the big leagues. There's two sides of the coin on this. The fan in me thinks sometimes with that $100 million comes the great responsibility and great pressure to go out there and perform right away. Or other times, sometimes it is that humbling thing of I've made it and now it's time for me to just focus solely on the game. You know, how do you balance that as a player to not maybe let the pressure of that money or that contract bleed onto the field?
You see it a lot, guys. Guys signed a long-term deal, and all of a sudden they want to justify that $100 million plus, and they want to become a better player than the one. Pete Crow-Armstrong has been rewarded or will be rewarded for what he's done with a look towards the future, too. He's 24 years old. We're talking about a young player. He hasn't come close yet to really figuring the game of baseball out. What he's been able to do up to this point is physical skills are exceptional. And when he starts to slow it down, and I can tell you from my experience playing for 18 years, it's so hard to slow the game down the first 2 or 3 years, because when you're a guy like Pete Crow-Armstrong, or you're a guy that moves through the system fast, you have one thing that all guys do. They have a unique gift. Either you have a great fastball, you've got life on it, you have tremendous power, you have something that has been able to get you through the levels of the minor leagues really fast. And then when you start to figure out, when you get a blend of having that and knowing that you have that, but then understanding, hey, this guy starts me off first pitch breaking ball every time. I'm not swinging at it. And if the guy happens to throw a first pitch curveball at strike one, as a younger player, you're like, man, I should have been ready to hit, as opposed to saying, you know what? He still has to get 2 more strikes. And it's easier said than done. Same thing with a pitcher. You signed a big deal and you had a good year last year. You want to have a better year than you had the year before to prove, like, hey, I was worth that kind of money. It's so hard to balance, like, not being over aggressive and being like, okay, I'm the player that I am. I'm going to trust what I am. It's easier said than done.
All right, we have to take a quick break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Bet365. When we come back, I'm going to ask Dan, I'll let him think about it over the break. Who does PCA remind you of that you faced in your career? It's next on the CHGO Cubs podcast. Can you believe we are ready to start baseball season? Hey, but you know what? That doesn't mean that we're supposed to move away from our own goals. Huel is the perfect solution for high protein, routine support, busy days, habit building, convenience, and control this year. Ready to drink saves me time all the time. In my busy life, this is exactly what I need. Post-workout, meetings, school drop-off, breakfast, errands, 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It is gluten-free. Wife loves that. And under $5 per meal.
I love that.
Meal you can literally just grab and go, just like that. It saves me all the time, really. And this is what you need. Limited time offer. Get Huel today with an exclusive offer, 15% off online with my code Cubs15. That's Cubs15, new customers only. Huel.com/Cubs15. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show. Huel, love this game changer.
And Cubs fans, it ain't just about opening day. You need the Game Time app every day because it gives the advantage back to the fans. It is the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means that you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, the fees are always included, so what you see is what you're going to pay. They got amazing zone deals, so you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats at the best price. You can favorite your favorite teams like the Cubs. And again, did I mention that lowest price guarantee? Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They also have amazing Game Time ticket coverage. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB Cubs tickets all season long with Game Time. So download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Code CHGO. $20 off. Boom. Download the Game Time app today for all your amazing Cubs action all season long.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, powered by Bet365, where winning is everything. And of course, Cubs over everything here. You can place a wager for the Cubs to win the World Series. By the way,
it is
a lot
allowed.
of people picking the Cubs after the Dodgers. So before the break, I asked Dan Plesac of MLB Network. Dan, who does he remind you of? Does he remind you of any player from your career at all?
Yes.
Pete Crow-Armstrong.
With a lot more power. Very similar kind of player. Speedy, covers both gaps. Lofton with more power. Not that Kenny Lofton didn't have power, but Kenny Lofton in those Guardians/Indians lineup was more get on base, steal bases, create havoc. Didn't look to hit the home run. Kenny Lofton had some pop, but he didn't have the kind of pop. He never had the kind of pop that PCA has. I think when I watch him play, he reminds me of Lofton with more pop.
Combo of Brady Anderson, Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, that's a good comp. That's
a
real good comp.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, look, we're just so excited that he's going to be in a Cubs uniform, obviously not just through the arbitration years, but Dan, through those 27, 28, 29 years. And what's so funny about it is this comes on the heels or basically on the doorstep of opening day. So we're now lumping this into the Cubs offseason. Like extending PCA is just as big as some of the other moves that Jed made over the winter. So if you can, when you look back at it all, from the Bregman to the Edward Cabrera to what they did with the bullpen to Shota Imanaga qualifying offer to now extending PCA, how would you feel overall the Cubs did this offseason heading into this year?
I thought the Bregman edition really put them on another level. When I looked at the Central, you always have to worry about Milwaukee because somehow, some way, there's a method to their madness. But I really thought where there's smoke, there's fire. And I was so almost certain that Bregman was going back to the Red Sox that I thought the Cub thing was a pipe dream. I didn't think it would happen. And I was quite frankly caught off guard when they picked up Bregman. To me, Bregman, he's a winning player. He's a no-nonsense. He plays a really good third base. Cubs defensively on that infield, man, that's as good an infield defense as you're going to find. And I think that's going to bode well for both the starters and their bullpen. Their outfield, they catch the ball. I thought the Bregman addition was huge. And I'm a big Matthew Boyd fan. I know he's going to get the ball on opening day. And I think the guy that gets lost in the shuffle last year, as good as the Cubs were, think about this. Justin Steele basically was no part of the 2025 Cubs. They're going to get him back at some time. They're more than likely going to slow play him because he seems to me like he'd want to pitch next week, but you got to protect Justin Steele from himself. I think once this starting rotation gets intact and they get Steele back in, and listen, you got to be patient. Like, don't judge his first 2, 3, or 4 starts. He's going to have to go through. He hasn't been on a big league mound in over a year. And that's a really difficult thing for a pitcher. You could throw side sessions. You could go down to the minor leagues and throw in minor league camp and throw bullpens. But there's nothing like being on the corner of Clark and Addison when there's umpires and there's 35,000 people in the stands. But I think when Justin Steele comes back, and if he's close to being what he was, all of a sudden I looked at the Central. I think a very improved team is the Pirates. I don't think they're going to win the Central. But when I look at the Cubs right now, they're, to me, a pretty solid pick to win the Central. They're better on paper right now than the other teams. I think the Reds are an interesting team. But with not having Hunter Green available the first couple of months of the season, that's a big loss in their starting rotation. If Boyd is what he was last year, I think the Cubs are going to be hard to stop in the Central. I think the two in the National League, the two teams that I feel the best about winning division are obviously the Dodgers, and I like the Cubs to win the Central.
You know, I was trying to think the other day. It's like usually there's something that drives a really good team, whether it's their pitching staff or their offense. And I think you could go into this season because of what you just said. I think they're better offensively than they were last year because I think they're going to be more consistent. Guys are going to be older. They've been there and done that. And then you look, and we'll see how Bregman impacts the team offensively. But when you look at the rotation and the idea of Steele coming back, and we're not sure if Cabrera will be superstar Cabrera, or is he like, are they going to find the one thing that he's been missing? Is it going to be the fastball that he'll finally fine tune it and you'll say, wow, this guy's going to be unbelievable? Or will Cade Horton take that next step and pitch like he did in the second half of the season? Because I think they would have won the series against the Brewers if Cade Horton was healthy at the end of the season. So when the season hits, let's just say August, Dan. When the season hits August, what will be the one thing that drives this Cubs team? Will it be the offense or will it be the pitching staff?
Starting pitching, because I'm a huge Cade Horton fan, and I'm with you, Luke. If they would have had Cade Horton late September into the month of October, totally different look. He was their best pitcher. Listen, July, August, into the middle part of September. I mean, he came so fast. And I'm buying that. I'm buying him. I'm buying everything about him. I love his body language. I love his demeanor. He's not afraid to throw the ball in the strike zone. And I've said this, and people think I'm nuts. That box that you see on that TV screen, it has never been more difficult to be a pitcher, though I know offensive numbers are down, than it is today. Because most pitches, I'm not saying all, but most umpires will err on if a ball is really close, they'll call it a ball, and you'll look at it and say, man, maybe that caught a little bit of part of the plate. The days are gone when you get 2-3 inches off the outside corner and 2-3 inches off the inside corner. These umpires are graded every day, how many pitches they miss, how many that were in the box. I mean, they are under a lot of scrutiny. So you have to throw the ball in the strike zone. And that's what I like about Horton. And I'll tell you what I really liked in the WBC, what I saw from Matthew Boyd. There's an uptick in the velo in Matthew Boyd, too. There were a lot of 94s and 95s. And I'm a huge Matthew Boyd fan. I think you have to have guys like him on your rotation. I look at this Cubs starting rotation. I love the lineup, Dansby, Nico Horner, the list goes on and on. But I think when it's all said and done, we're going to look back at the last week of September. If the Cubs win the division, it's because their starting pitching, top to bottom, is just better than anybody else in the Central.
Dan, if we could stick on the starting pitching with a follow-up. You got my wheels turning now, so if you could maybe take us into the pitch lab really quick. Yeah, we've been noticing throughout spring, top to bottom on the Cubs staff, the velo's been ticking up for a lot of different players. Javier Assad hitting 94 on the gun. So if we can maybe exclude Edward Cabrera and Cade Horton with their God-gifted ability to throw 98 on the regular, from the guys that have to live in the 91 to 94 range on their four-seam, and we're talking about Justin Steele, you just name-checked Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga in the past, too, is some days when he's throwing 91, other days he's throwing 93, 94. In your opinion, what is the margin line of difference that you really want to have between your best day with your four seam and your not so great day? Is it a mile per hour off? Is it 1.5? What can you live with, and what would you like to, as a pitcher, what would you like to live in the range of to stay as effective with all your other stuff?
Give me a rotation of guys that could command the fastball. I mean, I'm starting tomorrow. I'm going to be watching 15 games, 30 teams. I'm going to be watching it religiously. You have to be able to command the strike zone. We have become so enamored with that gun on the bottom of the screen as, oh my God, it's 98, 97, ball one, ball two, base on balls. As a manager, you go get a guy. Give me, I'm telling you, when you look at the game's best starting pitchers right now, and you could throw Ohtani into there, you could throw Garrett Cole into that mix, Zach Wheeler into that mix, Paul Skeens into that mix, Tarek Skubal. When you look at Skubal and you look at his walks per nine and his strikeouts per nine, not only is his stuff good, but he throws strikes. The same with Paul Skeens, the same with Garrett Cole, and the same with Zach Wheeler. Listen, so many young pitchers are chasing spin and velocity, and what has been lost in the game is to be able to maneuver the ball in and out, up and down. And listen, I'm so tired of looking at the gun. And sure, you get excited. A guy comes in out of the bullpen, he's throwing 101. There are a boatload of guys that are going to have ERAs north of 5 this year that are 98 to 100. But can they throw strikes in crunch time? What I liked about Daniel Palencia in that game against the U.S., man, it is strike one. It's not 99, neck high, ball one, slider in the dirt, 2-0, and then he throws one 100 and it gets smoked. You're like, how did they hit 100? Well, they're just sitting on the first decent looking fastball they're pulling the trigger on. And when you watch Zach Wheeler, Garrett Cole, Paul Skeens, the really good pitchers, and put Skubal into that mix, not only is their stuff great, but they command the strike zone. And those guys can command, as a starting pitcher, you better be able to command two pitches. You better be able to command your fastball and something off speed, slider, splitter, curveball, whatever it is. And if you have a third one, you're way ahead of the game, and you're a guy that can win 15 to 20 games. And I know winning games isn't a thing to talk about, but to me it is. I want a rotation of guys. One, listen, stuff plays, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. But give me Zach Wheeler, give me Paul Skeens, give me Skubal, even Yamamoto of the Dodgers. This guy, I'm telling you, has as good a stuff as anybody in baseball. He's just a smaller guy, and you're like, yeah, 95, 97, great command of the fork ball, good curve ball. There's a method to the madness. All the good pitchers. You can have a roster of big arms, and they're going to be guys walking around with ERAs in the fives. You can't trust them as a manager. Give me Matthew Boyd. Give me Cade Horton. Guys, one, that aren't going to walk 5 per 9. They're going to throw strikes and keep you in a game. Those are the kind of guys you need. And I just think right now, and I'm not blaming pitchers today, because, Luke, in the day and age that it is now, if you want to get drafted and you want to move up, you better throw 95 to 98. You're better off throwing 95 and hitting the back of the screen than throwing 89 and maneuvering the ball up, down, in, and out. I'm telling you, it's become It's become an epidemic. I call them, it's the kind of the age of the dead brain heaver. Grab it, rip it, and let that thing go. And if you get 3 strikes, okay, great. But you cannot continue to pitch at the big league level 2-0, 2-1, unless you can maneuver a breaking ball or a changeup. And that's what guys like Garrett Cole, Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Yamamoto, Zach Wheeler, that's what they do. Even throw Christopher Sanchez in of the Philadelphia Phillies. The top pitchers, they can all rely on. If they don't have plan A that day, they can go to plan B because they can throw a breaking ball, a changeup, or a splitter that appears to be a strike.
Do you know what was the hardest you ever threw on one pitch and what happened to that pitch?
I don't know the hardest. I know early on in Milwaukee, this was now the old gun. I was 95 to 97 on that ray gun. And a lot of times as a younger pitcher, you're warming up in the bullpen and you're kind of equating the way the ball's coming out of your arm and that catcher's glove is popping, warming up like, okay, I feel really good. But you find out real quickly that the level of play at the big league level, sooner or later, they're going to catch up to the 97. And they're going to catch up to a good fastball. And when you get one turned around, the first one I can remember getting turned around, Dave Winfield hit a home run off of me in Milwaukee, first pitch fastball. And I warmed up and I was like, I've got the goods tonight. Like I've got the goods. They're in for a rough go. First pitch fastball to Dave Winfield, and he hit one about 12 rows deep inside the left field foul pole at County Stadium. And he turned that thing around like it was 65 miles an hour. And I had to take back and go like, oh boy, like, whoa, that was my best bullet. And he just turned it around like I was a high school pitcher. So it happens to everybody. But I think the beauty of it is as you acquire an acumen for pitching, that you warm up and you realize, okay, I've got the good fastball, but I've got another pitch that I have to use too. I have to use the slider, and you can't be afraid to throw it 1-0 in the 9th inning with a 1-run game. And one thing this is like going way back, machine. I used to play and warm up in the winter, do my throwing, and Pete Vukovich, who was a Cy Young Award winner with Milwaukee, said to me one day, he said, hey, lefty, have you ever thrown a 2-2 fastball to a lefty, intentionally miss with it up and away to throw a 3-2 breaking ball? And I remember, Luke, I said, hell no. Who the hell wants to go 3-2 and throw a breaking ball? But at the end of my career, when I'm facing Mo Vaughn and Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds and Tony Gwynn, you don't know how many times I had a really good hitter 2-2, and I know, okay, I'm going to miss with a fastball up and away, and 9 out of 10 times they're like, okay, he's got to throw a strike, and you throw one and you figure out how you can command a breaking ball and throw it 3-2 for a strike, and you'll get a called strike 3. It doesn't happen all the time, but if you can do that, and the sooner you can learn to think like that and execute that, the better off. That's why when people ask me, why was Greg Maddux so great? Greg Maddux was so far ahead of his time. Greg Maddux, when he signed out of high school out of Las Vegas, he had a good arm. He threw mid to lower 90s consistently. You had to get drafted, right? He was a high draft pick. I think 2nd round with the Cubs. But he learned early on, Dick Pohl, who was his pitching coach that he revered, to learn to move the ball in and out, sink it, run it, cut it. He brought that ball that you throw at a left-hander's hip and bring it back. He learned how to do it when he had good stuff. So as his stuff diminished, the older he got, he didn't have to teach himself how to pitch after playing 5 or 6 years. It's hard to do pitching at the big league level when you throw 97 and then year 7 and year 8, now you're at 94, 95, and then you become afraid to throw that. But if you learn to run it, cut it, sink it, change speeds with it when you're 22, 23, then the older you get, the easier it is because you've already learned how to pitch while your stuff was good. And I tell people all the time, Luke, when you're a reliever like I was, I came out, man, your guns are blazing, your heart's beating out of your chest. It was air that thing out, hard slider. And then at the end, I remember so many games being in thinking, man, if I just had a changeup or something, I could get a righty to try to get him to hit the ball on the ground. I didn't have that in my arsenal. And at the end, I did. And I don't know how many days I thought, man, I spent so many sleepless nights blowing games early on because I was afraid and I didn't know how to massage, throw a breaking ball. Hey, I want to throw this for a strike, first pitch. I was scared to death to do it because if you okay, I'm going to throw a get me over breaking ball on the first pitch and the guy hits a double in the gap, now you've got a runner on second and nobody out and a 1-run lead. And you're like, I'm in a whole lot of trouble. So the only way you know how to go is the way you come up, and that's like you overpower people. But the sooner you learn how to pitch and not throw, the better off you'll be to have a lot better longevity.
Luke, can we like FedEx this conversation to Ben Brown? Because everything that you're talking, this is it for me with a player like Ben Brown. Big time fastball, 12-6 curveball, right? But can he command the zone? He's working on a third pitch. And I think he's hopefully maybe in the metamorphosis, right, of turning it from a thrower to a pitcher. But, you know, he's had great outings. He's got his head kicked in at other times. He's got immense talent. But exactly what you're talking about right now, Dan, I feel like Ben Brown is kind of in that right now.
It's hard to trust it when you're used to driving your car in fifth gear all the time, right? You get on a highway, you put it in fifth, boom, and you're going to take off and go. When you're MO and you're a fast switch guy and you're used to seeing swing and miss and you're used to velocity plays because that's what's gotten you. It's what's gotten you from 12 years old to 15 to high school to college to the minors to getting drafted. And so you know that works. And it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to go out here in a game. And I'll tell you when you have to do it. You have to do it in spring training. You have to incorporate it in spring training and say, okay, these games really don't matter. Now, that being said, if you're not life and death to make a team, if there are 5 guys that are going to make the starting rotation and there are 7 guys and 4 of them are on guaranteed contracts, you've got 3 guys battling for one spot, then it's hard to do that. But if you have the leeway to learn how to, hey, you know what I want to do today? I want to teach myself to throw a first pitch curveball, not the nasty 12-6 one that bounces that they swing at with 2 strikes, but a good enough one that I can throw first pitch and buy me strike one. Like it's something off speed. And it takes patience, it takes time, and it takes the effort to say, okay, I am no longer going to pitch like I used to pitch. I have to incorporate something else. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to flip a switch from being a power guy to being power and finesse. But that's what the great ones do. That's what Randy Johnson did at the end. I mean, he still threw hard. That's what Kurt Schilling did. Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, all the really good pitchers that lasted a long time, they were never the same pitcher at the end as they were at the beginning. But somehow, some way, they blended power with finesse. And they still had that power in the back pocket if they needed it. But you just can't go to that well all the time because physically, as the more innings that you accumulate, you know, your arm angle changes a little bit. When you're 24, you can get that arm angle right and you can let that thing eat. Well, then you have, 800 or 1,000 innings in your big league. All of a sudden, that arm level goes from there to right here, and it doesn't seem like that much to the naked eye, but it's a big difference.
I see the live YouTube chat. Everybody has so many questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of them. I saw somebody mention, I believe it was Corey, talking about Greg Maddux when he gave up a home run on purpose so that in the postseason he could set up the player for that at bat. We only got like 5 minutes left. I'm curious if you ever went to that degree to set up a player. Now, like I know, having listened to you over and over and just talking to Cubs pitchers, one of the things that kept you in the big leagues for so long wasn't just talent. It was that you were setting people up. You were setting up pitches. You were thinking, you still remember matchups and pitches that you threw 20 years ago, right? Some guys can't remember what they did. So did you ever have something where you literally gave somebody success at the plate so that you could get them later?
Okay. One guy that drove me nuts in my career, a lefty, David Justice. It seemed like if I came in to get an innings work and it was a 5-run game, I'm just going to throw a first pitch curveball, and he'd roll over on it and hit it to second base. But every time I needed to get David Justice out when it really mattered, he didn't swing at that first pitch curveball. So the best way I can put it is this. You have a plan, and what I did, and I was really probably anal about it. I kept a diary. I still have all 18 of them from 18 years. And after the game was over, I would write down the batters I faced and the sequence of pitches that I threw to them. And so I would keep that. And so if we were playing the Indians, now the Guardians, and what I did to Jim told me the last time I faced him, I went fastball, slider, fastball, fastball, slider. And I would, like, if he swung, I would put an S around it, like a swing and a miss. And so the thing is, I think as a player, and if you talk to all the great players, you don't have to ask Andre Dawson or Ryan Sandberg or Mark Grace, hey, how they hit off a guy. They remember that's just part of being a big leaguer. And I think the sooner as a player, and I'm so adamant about this, you need to be your best coach, your best scout, and your best talent evaluator of yourself. And don't rely on some guy that was watching a game that played golf all afternoon as the scout said, hey, this lefty can't hit a lefty curveball against the lefty. And yet the day he saw them, it was against the nastiest left-handed curveball that was in the game, right? Like, you're not going to say, like, oh, lefty on left, like, oh, Luzardo, he doesn't have a really good curveball. And he has a great curveball. And so when you take all that, listen, players get a lot of data. But the best data you can get is your own eyes and watching a guy swing at what you have. And so, like, what I tried to do, if I was playing a team towards the end of my career, I wanted to see, I would tell the video guy, give me the last 10 at-bats that Barry Bonds had off a left-handed pitcher. And like 6 of the 10, I could just X out because they were side armors. They were low 3/4. My arm angle was higher. And I wanted to watch one thing. I wanted to watch the front hip that it opened up and the front shoulder. And if they did, I was going to pitch that guy away. And I think the sooner you can take all that info and keep it and store it in your brain, the better off you'll be. But to give you an honest answer, Luke, I never threw a pitch in 18 years that I thought was going to be a home run. And I never wanted to throw batting practice for anybody. So I would have never said, hey, I'm going to throw this first pitch fastball and let him hit one in the seats because I'll get him out with a breaking ball. Hell no, I didn't have the confidence to do that, Luke.
All right. You're the best. And I don't want to tell you what to do, Dan, but you got a lot of ideas bouncing around in that head. Why you're not selling the Plesac diaries and publishing your 15 years as closer? Just publish the famous ones. Yeah. Just publish what you did against Bonds and Griffey and those guys. We only got like 2 minutes left, but man, you got a lot of great ideas. But publishing a book of an actual diary of you facing just the Hall of Famers, I guarantee you every baseball fan would go and rush and buy that book.
Southpaw Diaries, the Big Blue Diaries, or
I know what the name. I know what the headline and the cover's going to be of the book. Up and in, down and away. It's 2-0. Now what do I throw? Right?
All right. Dan, have a great season. I know you still got a little homework to do because you're always studying, but a big baseball season about to start, and we appreciate that you took all this time to hang with us. How about we do it again at some point in the season?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, anytime you want to do it, you have my number. You call me. I'm in. You guys are great.
He is the conductor of the Big Blue Train. He is the great, one and only Dan Plesac. Dan, thanks. Good to see you, bud.
Okay, in closing. Woo, woo!
There it is. They're back.
Big Blue Train. 90-plus wins.
I want 10% of his book sales. That is right. I agree with that.
I was going to say, forward by Luke Stuckmeyer or forward by Rod Beck and Mitch Williams or Rick Aguilera.
See, the thing with Dan is you could say, let's do 15 minutes on a podcast. But his stories,
he's the best.
You don't even know where they're going. He could go for 3 hours. That's why I'm saying I want to read the book. Yes. Now I want him to send me just one of the diaries. Year one. All right. Hey, don't forget the MVP shirt is in our merch store. Mm-hmm. You might want to get that. Good deal. We're back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll do the overs and unders and all our season picks and our predictions and our bold predictions.
Big show.
All tomorrow.
Big show.
Somebody's birthday today.
Yes. A quick happy birthday to my mom who turns 40 years old today. Wow. Holy cow. And I'm 42. Make that make sense.
Wow.
I hung out with her on Sunday for her birthday. Happy birthday. I love you very much. We were watching home videos just really quickly, and we threw on a home video, and it was a Little League game that my mom would tape every single Little League game that
Yeah.
I ever did. Let's see if Joey comes up to the bat. And that's right. I smoked a double to right field, the first at bat that I saw. Anyways, happy birthday to my mom. So many great parents and moms that tape all the games, go and hang out with their kids.
Yes.
That's what it is all about. So love you, Mom. Thank you so much.
See you at 2 o'clock. Happy birthday to your mom. And don't forget, fly the W.
One day till spring, opening day.
We all silly like the